Hello and welcome to Community Forum. My name is Heather Hansen O'Neill and I am your guest host this evening. I'm very excited about our magical guest this evening. But before I introduce him, I have a question for you. I'd like you to think about when was the last time you had a magical moment. And what I mean by that, the last time you were astounded or excited or set in wonder. And the reason why I'm asking is if this is a challenge for you to think of, or even if you have magical moments all the time, you are sure to love our guest this evening, the magical Nana Danso. He has a bachelor's degree from Wesleyan and a master's from Yale, but he right now is both a magician and an expert award-winning speaker. And what he does is he uses his magic to inspire with lessons and stories, and I think that you are just going to find him as wonderful as I do. Nana Danso, I'd like to hear a little bit more, but before, I really need to find out, you're not planning on cutting me in half or anything, are you?
No. I'm not planning on doing anything like that.
Oh, thank goodness. I was a little worried, I have to say. How did you get involved with magic?
Well, I'd always enjoyed magic as a kid. And my wife, Kelly, and I got married on New Year's Eve 2003 and went straight to Disney World for our honeymoon. And one night we went to downtown Disney to a store called Magic Masters. And in Magic Masters, magicians perform illusions for interested audience members. So you'll have about, let's say, 10, 15 audience members standing around and the magician performing illusions. So the magician could maybe show his hands empty, reach into thin air, and then pull maybe just like a silk out of thin air. And I had always enjoyed such illusions as a kid, but I never understood how they were performed. The unique thing about Magic Masters is that they actually sell the secrets to you. So we bought 3 secrets for $59.95 and went back to our hotel room, and I started to practice the secrets, practice the illusions. And what I realized was that the actual trick, the secret, the method was very, very simple. Almost stupid. Like if someone explained to you, this is how it's done, Heather, you would say, oh no, this is crazy, this is silly. But even though the secret was simple, it was very, very difficult to perform. And so I said to my wife, oh baby, these tricks are hard. And she said, we paid $60 for those tricks, so you'd better practice. And I know, me too. I didn't need any more motivation than that, and I practiced a lot just to get simple moves that people usually don't even see. And that's when I realized that there's a big correlation between the magic that you see a performer like David Copperfield do and the magic in our lives. Because everyone wants a magic life. Everyone wants a fabulous body, the best job. Everyone wants to perform at their peak. But it takes a lot of practice and a lot of energy to get to that level. And so for magicians to create magic, when David Copperfield does a show, he needs to really practice how to make it appear like he's flying, make it appear that he's levitating or sawing people in half. And that takes a lot of hard work from the magician's perspective. From the spectator's perspective, believing in magic is a choice. So some people just see silly sleight of hand and say, oh, that's just a trick, there's smoke, there's mirrors, it's not real magic. And many choose to believe in magic. Because in those shows you have many intelligent, rational adults, it's not just kids, that choose for 1 hour to suspend their disbelief and see magic. So seeing magic and experiencing magic is a choice from both perspectives. The magician's perspective to practice and to get to that level and create the magic in your life, and then from the spectator's perspective to choose to see magic.
That's awesome. I've always been amazed by magic, but I also was one of those kids, little precocious, looking around what's behind it.
Right.
But I did the same thing. I didn't spend $60 on it, but I did the same thing where I got like a little magic kit for the holidays. And I could never figure out, you say it's so simple, I could never figure out how to do it without everyone like rolling their eyes at me. Yeah, we can see what's going on. So is there some type of distraction that's involved? Like the way, like you have a voice that can draw them in, or gestures that draw their attention away. Does that have something to do with it as well?
Absolutely, and in magic that's called misdirection. The big stage illusionists use smoke, mirrors, pretty assistants. So when a pretty assistant is walking that way, the audience members, particularly the men, their eyes go in that direction as well, while the magician does something on the other side. If I'm doing close-up magic, like what I did to produce that silk, I may say something to you, and your natural tendency when I speak to you or to anybody is to look at me, because we like eye contact. And while we're establishing eye contact, I may do something down here that nobody sees, right? Or if you have a crowd of 5 or 10 people and you're addressing them, speaking to them, they're not usually, unless they're really hecklers and they're kind of curious. And some curiosity is fine. Everyone's curious about how an illusion takes place. The minute you speak with someone or you make a big gesture here, that big gesture draws people's attention here, and so the big move covers the small move that's taking place. And that's the whole purpose of misdirection: the smoke, the mirrors, the pretty assistants, the clapping, or it's almost as, to put it in simple terms, if it's a kid misbehaving, misdirection is as simple as, hey guys, look over there. That's misdirection. That's misdirection.
Not very subtle.
Not very subtle, but effective nonetheless. Especially for that age group. Yep. Exactly.
Well, I'm really curious, is there anyone that inspired you when you were getting involved in this?
Yes. So when we got back from the honeymoon, I started to look up magic effects on websites. I started to read about the subject, and this was January 2004, after my first semester of business school. So I'd spend a lot of time online looking at various resources, and then I started performing effects for family members, for friends, for classmates, professors, just for fun. And a lot of times I'd mess them up and people wouldn't take me seriously, but then I started getting better and better. So by the time I was graduating, I remember very vividly I was performing for some classmates and professors, and they formed this huge semicircle around me, and I was doing various tricks. And my dad kind of stuck his head through the crowd and said, "Hey boy, why are you doing this for free?" I thought, yeah, why am I doing this for free, right? That was a very good question. And here I am in business school. Maybe I should think about how to make some money with this. So that summer, my friend and I shot a street magic video just for fun. And I started performing at Cafe Bottega restaurant. And I performed there. I perform on Thursday nights from 7 to 9. Cafe Bottega in New Haven. And people would come and watch me. And then they would hire me for their parties. They would hire me for a Christmas party or to do a surprise birthday party or whatever the case would be. And I did that for several years, and then started connecting how people react and visualize magic close up to how they can do it in their lives. And that's when I became interested in speaking about that message and teaching people how to create real magic.
Well, that is really where I want to get into the heart of it too, because whenever I do a community forum show, I like to focus on 3 areas: connection, contribution, and inspiration. And I know that you make a great connection with your audience, and you're always contributing and inspiring. So I know that you've used your magic to create a lot of your speeches. Is there any way that you can tell us a little bit more about how the secrets of magic can help people and inspire them in their everyday lives?
Sure. So every magic effect has a secret, a technique. So if Chris Angel walks on water across a swimming pool, there is a secret to how he does that. And many of these secrets were exposed in a show called Magic's Biggest Secrets Finally Revealed. I don't know if you've seen that show where a masked magician performs an effect very beautifully and then explains exactly how the effect is done. And the first time I saw that show, it aired somewhere in 1997, 98, both in the US and in England. I thought, oh man, why would anyone do this? Magic is dead, blah, blah, blah. Why now we know the secrets? But what I realized is that people may be curious about the secret, but they're not that interested in the secret. They would rather see the magic.
They want the disbelief.
They want to suspend their
yes,
disbelief.
right.
They want to see magic. They want to be bedazzled. And it's like going to the movies. When you go and watch, let's say, Superman, you don't say, well, they're probably using a green screen and some strings. You just want to see Superman fly.
Right.
You just want to see Superman fly. So the first time Christopher Reeve flew in the studio, they even forgot that they had strings, etc. there because it was like, this is a man flying. We're so excited, right?
Same thing with magic.
So the same thing with magic, and particularly the magic in our lives. You see, I use the metaphor smoke and mirrors to mean the challenges and distractions and negative occurrences in our lives. So that's what smoke. And if you focus on the smoke and mirrors on a big stage illusion, you miss the effect because you're focusing too hard on smoke, on mirrors, on distractions, on trying to figure out what's happening behind that. And then you miss the magic. You're missing the beauty of the moment. That's exactly what it is.
And that happens in life.
And that happens in life.
Yes.
You focus on negative occurrences. You focus on the challenges that you don't think you can overcome. You focus on the setbacks. You focus on the stumbling blocks. But if you take the mindset of the magic spectator, right, and choose to see magic, then you realize that the stumbling blocks can actually be stepping stones, right? The doors are doors of opportunity to somewhere, and that's really and the setbacks are really setups for comebacks, right? So that's how I think we can take what's happening on the stage into our everyday lives and really make that conscious choice. Number one, to make the effort to create magic from the magician's perspective, and number two, from the spectator's perspective, to see the magic.
I think that is so important. That's one of the things that I talk about a lot too, is understanding that you get to choose where to focus your energy. And you can choose to be distracted by things that are, everyone has negative experiences that happen to them, but you can choose to see it as, to still see the good that is in your life, instead of just focusing on the negative. I love that part. Now I know there are some other little tidbits. What else are you gonna give us?
Well, when we think about magic, when I started writing about it, I developed something called the magic formula. Because often we want to attain something in our lives. We have some goal, some objective. For example, let's talk about the most common one, weight loss, right? Weight loss is probably the most talked about motivation in the US.